to carry on the event from now.
Good
Thank
evening,
you.
sir. We are so delighted to have you today. We are very excited and we are very honored and very proud that we have you with us. And we have so many innovators from our Maker Mela community who are here who will be interacting with you shortly. But before the interaction, we also wanted to to understand your journey, to learn more about you, and we wanted to ask a few questions which you have listed down. So we wanted to start with that. How did you begin your journey as a teacher? If you can share.
hmm So basically, I never thought of being a teacher. Actually, I was pursuing my dream of becoming an engineer, IT engineer, and even I started in the engineering college, and I was there for 6 months. But later on, I had to leave it, and I came back to home. So my father, who was a teacher, who actually suggested me or advised me to join teachers training college for at least 6 months, and then later on, if you think that you're not interested in it, then you again take exam, entrance exam, and then you can change the college. So with the hesitating mind, I joined teachers training college, and those 6 months in my life were uh, really life changing moments. Like, the teachers in the teachers training college actually felt a pure passion in me, and I dare realize what change teachers can bring, and understanding their importance and the responsibility of the job. I decided to become a change maker, and then I started to continue my teachers training college, and then join a Villa Parishad school in Paritewadi in 2009.
Yeah, sir. So then what inspired you to stay back at the school and develop it?
I think the situations and the problems before me keeps inspiring me. Because when I started in 2009 in my same school, so more problems were multi-pronged. I had to start from the scratch. The classroom where I have been teaching was used as a cattle sale, and nobody was having any objection, raising their objections or complaining. So this was like shocking moment for me. I never imagined such a classroom in India in the 21st century. And surprising thing is that parents were not complaining about the situation and the way the kids were getting education. So what I did to face the challenges rather than skipping and running away from that, the situations always push me to fight against it and overcome it and achieve the targets, achieve the goal, whatever I uh, like to achieve it. So I think that situations is inspiration for me.
Thank you, sir. So for teachers who are watching today, we have a lot of teachers from various parts of India, and actually globally, we have a lot of reach for teachers who are watching today. What exactly can they do to tap the potential in students, especially like teachers from Zilla Parishad schools and different geographies?
I think teachers usually tap the potential in the students. The only thing is that they should find out the interest area of students, what he likes, what he doesn't like, or what he may can do in future. These things. So it's not like a capsule or any specific uh, formula to tap the potential of students. There are so many incidences where teachers comes to realize, comes to know the potential of students, because students behaves differently in different situations. So it's not like in a single situation and tapping his behavior we can say that, oh, he gonna be the best cricketer, he gonna be a good athlete. It's not like that. So only thing that teachers always should be positive and look at students in the not with the same lenses, because students, every student is different from others, they are unique. So we cannot see them all with the same lenses. So teachers has to wear those different lenses for different students and try to find out what makes him unique, what exactly he is going to do differently as compared to the others. I think this will help teachers to find out the potential.
Yes, sir. And also, if you can share some teaching methods, like I know you have done some amazing, groundbreaking work in the teaching methods. If you can share it with our audience.
I think teaching, there is a lot of teaching methods. I usually tried in my classrooms. Some of them are like project-based learning, activity-based, fun-induced learning. So it actually depends on the context of the lesson and what I'm going to achieve through that lesson and what are my learning outcomes. So based on those learning outcomes, I set up my strategy and I set up my teaching method. So basically, during the pandemic, I more focused on the project-based learning because there I realized nature and the family are going to be the safest source of knowledge for my students. So how can I take help of families and nature uh, to ensure that even sitting at home, my students still they are learning and they are enjoying. So moreover, I think project-based learning helped me a lot during the pandemic. And when we gonna have the face-to-face classes, so I more emphasis on rely on activity-based learning method because their students keep engaged. I just have to engage them. They just need to take ownership of what they are learning and whether they are enjoying the way they are learning. So activity-based learning actually pushes or helps my students to learn enjoying the way because they never felt, oh, this is really very boring or it's very difficult to understand. So designing the activities and so that students could learn much better way than as compared to the traditional method. So I think these are some of the couple of methods I usually use in my classroom.
Okay. Sir, and how was it to win the Global Teacher Prize? How was that moment?
Yeah, you might have seen the video,
Yeah.
and it was really biggest surprise for me as well. And I'm very proud to become the first Indian teacher who won the Global Teacher Prize. I must thank Mr. Sunny Wake, the educational evangelist, who set up actually he who set up this award in partnership with UNESCO. So this award recognizes not only me but the teaching profession. So teachers are doing excellent job. Uh, Someone said that during the pandemic, doctors have saved the life, but teachers have saved the future. So when I uh, hear the announcement that Ranjit Display is the winner of the Global Teacher Prize, so I just can't believe that I'm going to be the winner. But I'm very humble and I just want to dedicate this award to my students and teachers, those who are doing excellent work. I'm just receiving this award on behalf of them.
Yeah. Sir, it was amazing. And I think our audience also was, wanted to know that how did you come to the decision like to share the prize money with other contestants? I think many
Mm.
few people would have that ability to think about all these things.
I think sharing is growing, and teachers work for the outcomes, not for the incomes. So whatever the knowledge, mindset, skills, informations, whatever the teachers have, they always like to share with their students. So when I realized all the top 10 finalists have done the great job, excellent work in their respective classrooms. So this is a great opportunity for me to help them, to support them, and if I could support their excellent work, then I'll be more than happy. Because one of my students keeps saying, uh, God gives us, and we have to share it with others. So we share it and we grow. So I think this is an effort to support their excellent work and to reach out to more and more students, help them to lighten their life with the help of education.
Yeah. Sir, and also if you can share something about the Teachers Innovation Fund which you created.
So that fund will be utilized to scale up the innovation, find out the innovations, because I firmly believe there are so many teachers across the India who are doing great job. So we need to find out them. We need to build a network of such innovative teachers. So this fund will be utilized for such teachers to scale up, to identify their excellent work, and to share it with the government and policymakers and private sectors as well, so that we could build a network of like-minded teachers and helps them to continue their passion.
Yeah. Sir, and like we interact with a lot of teachers day in day out. So we are also based out of Somaiya University, which has over 1800 plus faculty and 3000 in total, 3000 plus faculty and staff. So what message would you give to like teachers who are aspiring to become who are aspiring to become great leaders for their students or an inspiration for their students?
I think only message will be that be a teacher of 21st century. You know, because students of 21st century are being taught by teachers of 20th century using that 19th century curriculum with 18th century techniques. So education is looks like this. So world and India actually needs teachers of 21st century. So we all, my message will be that just be a teacher of 21st century. That's it.
And sir, is there a person who or teacher who has inspired you to become a teacher yourself?
Yes, there are so many people. The teachers actually helped me, who actually motivated me. But at this point, I would like to name Mr. Rajendra Mane, who actually helped me, and I got a chance to work with him for 6 months when I was doing internship, and he actually told me how to manage multi-grade classroom, how to interact with students, how to become their friend, how to interact emotionally, and how to get the response from the teachers when they are not performing well as we were expecting. So I think that man really helped me to grow or to become a better teacher. So I would like to thank him on this platform as
Amazing, sir. It's truly inspiring to understand your journey, listen to your story. I think we can open questions to our audience also. So there is one question from Mr. Rishikesh. What modifications can be made in our education system?
well. I think instead of changing and modifying the education system, I think the new education policy is a really visionary policy document for India, and we just need to make sure that all the changes and all the new things we mentioned in the new education policy should be implemented in a right manner. Then we don't need to change the system and other things. I think only the implementation of NEP, new education policy, is a key to grow as a new educational hub.
So there is one question from Megan. What were your greatest hurdles in teaching and how have you surpassed it?
I think the greatest hurdle was before me was to interact with my students in their mother tongue, because students' mother tongue was there, they were speaking in Kannada, and I'm more, my mother tongue is Marathi, so I hardly understand what they're speaking and whether they are understanding or not. So to face that hurdle and to overcome it, I started to live there with them, started to understand the Kannada, learn little bit Kannada. So that was the biggest challenge for me as a teacher.
Sir, we have one more question like how can teachers promote and spark the ideas of self education in a world where information is freely available?
Right, information is freely available. Only thing is that we need to more focus on the skill development part of a child, not on the information wala part. Because already source of information is there. Teachers are as a source of information. Google is also as a source of information. Textbook itself is a source of information. So already we do have a lot of information. The only thing is that how we use the information to solve the daily problems. So there we find out the problem solving skills of
Yes.
the students. So I think it's a teacher skill. So how he help these students, or he set up the mindset of the students use the information, the knowledge that they have to solve the problems in the daily life, or to contribute for the betterment of the community. So it's more about skill development rather than the context or the content of a textbook.
Yeah, there is a question from like Dr. Yogesh Kulkarni. Many teachers complain about lack of facilities. How will you motivate them to be positive?
No, it's not like that. uh, India still lacking of infrastructure. So, and if they are complaining, it means they actually facing the facts. So it's not like we are living in one single classrooms having hundreds students, and teachers are expected to become very positive. We should accept the fact, if there is a lack of infrastructure, then teachers should raise a complaint and should communicate with the other officials, so that he could at least ensure the basic infrastructure in a classroom. So without having a infrastructures, if you want teachers to be very positive, I think it's unfair to them.
There is one more question from Kunal Sawan. Is there a subject or topic you wish you could teach but you couldn't teach?
I think the content in our language more about poems. So every time when I teach the poems, I know I don't have a singing voice. So I took help of my colleague, record the video in his record audio, the poem in his voice, and then share with my students. So I think poem part is a little bit difficult or hard for me.
And there is another question from Ayush. How can we motivate students to be more innovative, creative? Which extracurricular activities would be productive for them?
I think students by birth they are innovative. Only thing is that we never accept it. For example, look, when we say 5 plus 3 addition wala example, so very scholar students or the obedient students, disciplined students who know the addition very well, they come up with the correct answer. But some students will come up with like 5 plus 3. Some can say that it's 8. Some might say 9. Some might say 6. So we give marks to the someone who is saying 8, right? But what about the others who come up with the answer like 9 or 6? So we need to understand their mindset. What was the thought process going on? And because they might be they might be correct with their thought process, and our thought process is like 5 plus 3 is equal to 8, but who knows their mindset or the thought process might be correct. So teachers there should understand their thought process, what was going in their minds while writing that answer. And if the logic, yes, we know that logic might be false or not correct, but teachers should to understand it. Push the questions like open-ended questions. There should not be a specific answer to the questions. Try to discuss a lot with students. Inspire them to communicate with each other, discuss the problems, and try to find out the solution. What I do in my classrooms, whenever I write a question or the problem on the blackboard, so I come to realize 27 different solutions to the single problem, and I accept all the solutions shared by my students. So we should amplify the students' voice, respect their voice, and their voice should be heard in the classroom, so that they start feeling respected. Oh, our voice is really respected by a teacher. Whatever the ideas, it may be funny, it may be foolish, or it may be good or bad. We don't have to decide it. We just have to accept it. And when they're feeling, oh, my idea is accepted, if it is good or bad, it doesn't matter. But they should feel that my voice is listened and amplified.
Yes, that's very nice, sir. And there is one question from Bhargavi Patil. What if we students are not exposed to opportunities, exhibitions, events, etc.? What can we do as a student, or what? Yeah, what can we do as a student in college or school if we don't have many opportunities?
Right. In the world of technology, you have so many opportunities, right? And you need to find out those opportunities. It's not like Makers Mela haven't accepted our proposal. It's okay. We have so many other platforms as well. So we should find out those. Who knows if the better than this platform, someone from other platform is waiting for us. So I think rather than being disappointed if we didn't get any chance on the platform where we wish to go there, I think we should find out other options as well. To myself, I always feel that I should find out various platforms where I can explore, where I can learn, where I can innovate and connect with innovative teachers across the world. So I think opportunity as a teacher in the world of 21st century, we never felt that we missed that opportunity. World is actually looking for innovators. Opportunities are there. Only thing is that you should find out that.
Great, sir. So there is one question from Ritik. How can we make lessons interesting in online classes? Because now everyone is online. So how can we make lessons?
Right. So it's actually tragedy. In the February or in the March 2020, we suddenly decided now stop the face-to-face classes and go shift from face-to-face to online classes. But our teachers were not trained for that. Our teachers training college and syllabus in the teachers training college is moreover for the face-to-face teaching. And we asked our teachers, who is teachers being instructed by the management, now go for the online classes. And what they did, they bought a blackboard, they were writing on the blackboard, the camera was in front of them, and they were explaining. So online teaching is not like that. So in the online classes, you need to engage your classrooms. So it's a skill of a teacher. For example, I will just try to give the example. Just imagine I have some tools or the apparatus on my table right now. Let's say glasses, a glass of water, spoon, salt, and lemon. So all these things are placed on my table. So now tell me, what should I do with these things? Yes? Tell me, Garan.
Sir, yeah, maybe you can simulate some physics activities, or
No, tell me what. Don't go for the physics and big wala things. Think what exactly I have in my hands on my table now.
you can make a
So
lemon juice.
lemon juice, okay. Let's go for the lemon juice. So tell me, what should I do first?
Maybe take some water and
Okay, I'm pouring water in a glass. Okay,
then maybe squeeze the lemon and
okay,
stir it.
squeezing. Oh no, it's not possible. Do you think that if I just start to squeeze it, then it will the drops or the droplets will fall in the water? I
Yeah,
need to cut it, right?
yeah. You can cut it. You have to cut it first.
Yes, but I don't have a knife to cut it.
Yeah. So I will have to think of something else to cut it then.
Yes, then think of it.
Maybe you can smash it and it may break open.
It means by hook or crook you want to cut the
Cut the
lemon,
lemon. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No. I don't want to do this. It's not a way to cut a lemon.
Okay. So maybe we can take more suggestions from the chat box from our
Ah,
users. We'll have to
yes,
brainstorm about it.
right. So think of it. Think of it. What we can do with these things placed on my table.
Yeah. So maybe scissors. We can cut it with
So
a
I
spoon.
don't have a scissors. I told you now. I don't have a scissor.
Some akshata is written. You can chew the lemon. Maybe tea.
Oh, this is not a thing.
Yeah. So someone has written lemon can पहले से ही कटा होगा. It might
Oh.
it might have been.
No, I
Yeah.
told, just listen to me what I told you. I have a glass of water, glass, spoon, salt, and a lemon. I have you heard that I said I have a lemon already cut it? No,
Yeah. Akshata is written. You can cut it with a spoon.
no, Akshata, this is not a way. If you try it at home, maybe your mom will shout at you. So it means ultimately, by hook or crook, by any way you want to cut at lemon. But what I'm doing, I'm just taking you to another direction, and you guys are not changing the thought process of yours. I'm saying that lemon, I cannot make a lemonade right now because I don't have a scissor or a knife to cut a lemon. So it means we cannot make a lemon. Now think of different things. What else we can do? Oh.
Someone is saying, drink the water.
Shreyas is saying, keep lemon aside and drink
Drink the
water, maybe the
water.
salty water.
Salt water.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, salt water. Just make a salt water. Okay, that's good. That's good suggestion. Salt water. It means I can show you how to mix things, two different things, water and the salt mixed up. It's a unique mixture, right? Okay. Floating of lemon. Yes, that's good. Atul. Yes, you're right track. You're on the right track. Break it with mouth. No, guys, we are now not going to cut the lemon. So someone was saying the floating of a lemon. That's good. Actually, that's a good one. So I was Archimedes principle, right? But moreover about density as well. So in the plain water, I will just try to drop a lemon, then it will sink in it, right? But if I add a salt in a water, then the lemon will float. So there is a concept of density, right, as well. Then mixture of two things as well, two substances as well. So many things I can explain. This is the way we need to engage the students while having the online classes. If just imagine I started my lesson, guys, today we're going to talk about the density, and we'll understand how density is, what exactly the density means and how it works. So I have a lemon, I have a salty water, I'll just drop it like this. I never tried this, right? So what I did, instead of following the traditional way, I just opened the stage for you guys, and you guys were thinking sometimes, right? So what else we can do, what else? So we need to make them think rather than be the passive during the online classes. So I can bring that change, I can engage my students just because I've been trained for this. I've been running online classes for last 3-4 years, and I've taught more than 70,000 students from my class, from my home, where I set up my own science lab. So I think every teacher is not empowered, every teacher hasn't been trained for these things. So I think this is the skill of a teacher, and that's why you might have seen that online classes are really bored. Students actually bored of it. So I think moreover we need to train our teachers, because I feel if the same situation again comes in next few years, so our response should not be the same. We should respond the next pandemic differently, more precisely, and more readiness.
Yeah. So that was very nice and very insightful. So we have like few interesting questions, couple of questions I think we can take. We have little time left. So if you could take students on a field trip anywhere in the world, where would you take them?
We actually traveled a lot, you know. So this is a passport of my students, and we actually filled up all the pages of their respective passport. So we traveled more than 140 countries in this world. We have seen the seven wonders of the world. We have gone underwater. We have visited underwater lab in the England. We saw the Tortoise Hospital in US as well. So we usually go across the world wherever we like without leaving a classroom. So I think now it's time to go physically there, not virtually.
Amazing, sir. So there's one more question by Hemangi Bansod. How do you discipline students in your class?
No, 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 no. You cannot make them very disciplined students. Students at the age of 13, 14, till they are the way they behave, let it be. We don't try to make them disciplined students. No, 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 no. Adults are not disciplined, and you are expecting students to become disciplined, right? So
Right.
we, as an adult, hardly follow the signals and other rules and regulations, and we are expecting students to follow the rules and regulation in the classrooms. So it's really unfair to them. So I never expect my students to follow the discipline or what they, whenever they like, They will come to class whenever they like, oh sir, I'm really getting bored, I need to change. Then he will go outside for 10, 15 minutes, enjoying whatever he likes, then he will come back. So it's more of an open classroom to them.
So we'll take one last question from Monira. How can teachers train under you to learn these experimental methods?
Currently, actually, I don't have time to train the teachers right now, but there are certain platforms from where you can train yourself. You can grow professionally as well. So you can be a member of Microsoft Teachers Community or the Google's community or maybe the National Geographic's community. So these communities are actually working for the students and betterment of the teachers. So where you will find out uh, different courses based on the pedagogical aspect, technological aspect, new teaching methods. So it's more of like self improvement of yours, not under the guidance of a teachers like me. So you should try to explore more and more platforms where you can learn different things and train yourself. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your time. We are so delighted to have you. It was a wonderful interaction today. I hope all our viewers enjoyed the interaction and learned a lot from you. We hope
Thank you
to
so
stay
much for
connected with you
inviting.
in future. Thanks a lot for your time, sir.
Yeah, have a good day. Bye.
Good day, sir. See you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We will continue with the panel discussion in a while. Guys, please stay tuned. We will start the panel discussion shortly. We'll start the panel discussion shortly.
Okay. Okay. Can I get a count of the amount of people that are there right now? Okay, I think everyone's present here, so we can start the panel now. So can everyone turn on the cameras? Let's just like wave to each other. Okay, perfect. I don't think I can hear the audio here. Okay, so I think we can begin now. Hi, I'm Arjun. I'm going to be your moderator for today. Um, just like before we begin, it's like I currently head the debating society, so the Riddle guys decided to be here to conduct the panel. I hope I can like make this fun and fruitful for you guys. But let's start with the introductions to the panel, right? Um, let's just start with the introductions to the panel from the start. First of all, I love to do this. Is Dr. Srinidhi here? Is Dr. Srinidhi here? Can Dr. Srinidhi say hi?
Hi, I'm here.
You're here? You're hi. Dr. Srinidhi is currently an assistant professor at the ENT J Somaiya Medical College. She has been a COVID warrior. She has been at the front lines for the last 6 months, taking care of patients, working with teams, etc., etc. She is one of hundreds of thousands of people who are the reason why we actually got this pandemic under control, and their sacrifice is something that we love to adhere to this day, right? Secondly, we have Neeti Goel. Is Neeti Goel here?
Yeah, hi guys.
Hello, hi. Okay, I think all of us do know who Neeti Goel is because she made waves right at the start of the lockdown. She along with of course Sonu Sood, were the leaders of this um, Ghar Bhejo movement, which helped migrant workers who are like stuck within cities to go back to their homes. She's also a renowned restaurateur, and she used the skills um, to provide meals to people in need, to the working class. And if I and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember reading this article way back in that when this lockdown began, there were 1,200 meals a day being given.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it scaled up to lakhs and lakhs. So 45 lakhs something, if I'm right.
It's 60 lakhs.
60 lakhs now. 60,
Yeah.
60 lakh meals a day. That is incredible. That's incredible. Um, Next we have Dr. Yogesh Kulkarni. Hello, hi sir. How are you?
Yeah, namaskar.
Namaskar, namaskar. Um, so So Dr. Kulkarni here is the executive director at Vigyan Ashram. And just for all of us who are not like familiar with what the Vigyan Ashram is this education slash foundation that aims to combine our STEM based, more theoretical learning with a lot of practical application to something of rural technologies. That is to say, in areas of poverty, where people aren't as privileged as luckily we are. It gives these kids and people skills and helps them create something. Also, if I'm not wrong, the Vigyan Ashram is also where the first Fab Lab of India started. That is Fab Lab Zero started, and the work that's done there has been incredible. Um, Next, we will go to Nishtha Kaushik. Are you here, ma'am?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, how are you doing?
Perfect.
Amazing, amazing. Nishtha Kaushik here is the co-founder of Zios Makerspace, and she manages three separate Fab Labs. She manages the Fab Lab at Chandigarh, she manages it at Mohali and Panchkula. It's interesting because we actually have a lot of we have a little crossover here. Dr. Kulkarni and Dr. Kulkarni heading the ashram has a fab lab there, and we have Nishtha Kaushik here and Miss Kaushik here heads three of these labs, and the kind of innovation that's come out of them is something we'd love to know about, especially during this pandemic. Um, with that said, I think we can begin. Um, before we like get with the really spicy, candid questions, I just like to ask Doctor. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. As I'm being told that okay, I'm being told that there's a correction. Okay, is Mr. Senthilkumar here? Hello, is Mr. Senthilkumar here?
Yes.
Hello, hi sir, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Senthilkumar is the CEO and co-founder of JioVio Healthcare. For those who don't know, JioVio Healthcare aims to make affordable medical devices, especially targeting the rural class of this country. They have done incredible work, especially during the pandemic, coming up with uh, s- if I'm not mistaken, you guys have come up with the single monitor which checks your oxygen level, blood oxygen level, ECG, etc., etc. And considering that one of the concerns with COVID is like the blood oxygen level, I'm assuming that has been like, incredibly important into at least getting something affordable to people in need, to our grandparents, etc., so they don't have to keep going to hospitals. But we'll get more to that later because, especially so your website, I've checked all the devices and everything. I've is a huge fan of your work. We'll get to that later though. But before we get to like an open panel discussion, I do want to ask Dr. Srini something. So let's just get all our 200 participants um, kind of on board, right? So, Dr. Srini, could you please just like give us a small just a run through of what made COVID such a deadly thing in that when there were just like 20 cases in Mumbai, we had to institute full lockdown because as we understand it and as like there's a lot of misinformation that gets spread about COVID, even though it's been almost a year since it has been over a year since the disease has taken the world by storm. There's still a lot of misinformation. People still call it just a regular flu. The symptoms that you'll get is just a regular flu, etc. So, what made it such a deadly disease? Why did we have to have such a big lockdown?
First of all, COVID, I think nobody is ever going to consider COVID a plain flu again, considering we've all spent 1 year at home, probably, due to this infection. Everyone is going to take it seriously. This question is probably a year too late. But see, frankly, COVID is not like any other infection. And the lockdown started rightly so because if it wouldn't have started last March, by April or May, the entire country would have been under. Even otherwise, unfortunately, too many deaths in our country due to COVID. So the lockdown was something which was absolutely necessary at that point of time. But nobody could predict the backlash that would happen, like the economic, the social, with people losing jobs and with people losing their money. Nobody would have been able to predict what would happen. But from a health point of view, yes, it was absolutely necessary because that was the only way you could prevent this infection from spreading. Even though it still spread, it's not that it didn't spread, or it has reached every single village or every single town in our country even now. I don't think there is any place which would have a record of zero COVID cases. Without the lockdown, it would have been much worse. So this was something that was a necessary evil at that point of time.
You see, okay. Yeah, this question is a year too late, but we just want to get all our participants up to just a standard because
Yeah,
like
so
just getting a doctor's opinion like first on is just like incredibly important to us, right? Um, okay, so that's just something I want to get cleared out. Okay, so I just want the panelists to have like this one shared promise between us that we will all be as candid as possible about this discussion because that's what us at Riddle we really want to like try to get. We want to get the experts' opinions, like real opinions, going, and everyone trying to engage on that, right? With that, I'll have one open question to the entire panel. Also, do not consider this to be like incredibly moderated. Please feel free to interject, talk whenever you have an opinion. If you have something to share, even if it's asked to some other participant, please just butt in. It's completely and totally fine. In fact, that's what we want, right? But I do have this question I want to ask. Um, and this is to the entire panel, and we start with Dr. Kulkarni. Genuinely speaking, what did you think of this response that we had to this pandemic? How were you satisfied with how society responded to this pandemic? Were you disappointed? Um, just not only in governmental sense, but more so, let's say, on just an interpersonal sense. Are you happy with how your friends, peers, everyone around you responded to the pandemic? And what are your like takeaways of this thing? So can we start with Dr. Kulkarni first?
Yes. Yes, I'm happy, and also like I feel like we can do much better. Um, because I'm happy because I had seen like society as a society. Mm, I have seen many positive things. The people come together, started helping each other. uh, in fact, like whatever purchases we made in the during the pandemic, during whatever the efforts we were taking, nobody asked us for a payment till October. So I found the people are very helpful, cooperative, and they were just coming forward without asking for the reasons and the bureaucratic hurdles. So I'm very happy the way every section of the society come forward. But of course, I feel like we can do much better. And in fact, if like by chance, if in the future, if something happens, then I think we our response will be much different than what we did this time.
I see. I see. Thank you so much, sir. We'll get back to that in a bit, right? Can we next go to Ms. Kaushik? Uh, can you please give us like your 2 cents on how you felt your peers responded to the pandemic? Were you disappointed? And if you are disappointed, please express that. We do want the spicy content that we can put online.
Right. Uh, so, Arjun, I think it was new for our generation to have this kind of a pandemic, and I am sure that there will be different steps which we will be taking in the future if we have to face this again. But there were different kinds of people in the society responding in different ways, from makers like you and makers like in Riddle, Fab Labs, maker spaces. Some were moving out of the house and locking themselves in the maker spaces. Someone just picking up the machines and moving into the house and locking themselves to avoid any infection, or and to respond to the crisis. So it was very motivational, and I think it was a good response. But yes, we can improve on it after facing this one. And obviously, we have so many panelists here, and I'm sure they all contributed in the best way possible. And I'm really eager to hear their stories too. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. We still don't have that exact spicy quote we need, but
Ah,
keep going. We'll keep going. It's okay. We have an hour. We'll get it out of you, ma'am. It's fine. So next, Mr. Senthilkumar,
Yeah.
sir, you've worked. I'm assuming your team has like really worked through this pandemic day in and day out, and your inventions are like incredibly key to like you have you've like worked really hard during this pandemic. Just in the sense that there was so much opportunity to do so much good in society, right? So can you give us your 2 cents on how you felt the response to the pandemic was?
See, from the starting day, from March itself, we very closely working with the government. So, see, our response is like, I have friends across other countries, including China. Also, I have friends. So, compared to the global people, actually, we responded better. We never expected government will be. See, always you all know we are the latecomers. Okay, so when everyone's due and it's very serious, and then we will take action on it. This is how basically we operate. But this pandemic, see, government realized that if we are latecomer on this, the seriousness is very big. And another thing is, every government know that this is affecting 60 plus. So all the politicians are 60 plus, 50 plus. So they want to ensure that they also safe.
Nice.
So that's a thing, they ensured it's not spreading. And I find if it is less than 30 plus, might be, I don't think so the action is this critical, but it affects more of people 60 plus, because I interacting with all the people, right? we interact with the collector. See, the collector will be in the 40 plus. Okay, all the ministers say, "Do I will give all the rights to you. Don't come to me and disturb me. Whatever rights you want, whatever fund you want, just utilize it and ensure that we could able to solve this problem." See, otherwise, as a technical company, so we always come up with the innovative solution to the district administrative officer. But where the lock is now, this administrative officer is a technical person or like a person who can understand and want to solve the problem. They need to convince the politician. Okay, they never get the context of innovation, innovative way solving. They always say, how much money I can make. This is the typical question whenever a new innovation go through this channel. Okay, but in the COVID time, we observed all the politicians say, I'm not going to take any decision. You people take and do everything on the ground. So that really helped us. We could able to solve a lot of problem, a lot of solution. Corporation applied it, especially like initial days in my place. Corporation used to do this. Whoever travel, they go to their home and put a big board saying that, hey, these people are in quarantine, like don't come to them. But we propose them, see, this is not a right way to do it, because after this 14-day also, neighbor people may not talk to them, and neighbor people will treat them in a different way. So don't put such a boards. We can digitally handle it. We can put some technology there. We can put some device there. We can digitally handle it, and whatever need, see, people will go outside because they need to buy something XYZ. So we told them that if companies delivering on home, why we can't deliver every basic stuff to their home with an application based thing. And people who need a monitoring, you are serious, we can do with the technology. We can put some wearable device on their body. We could able to monitor it in a remote way, because the government has a very traditional way of health worker without any PPE. They go to this quarantine people home, touch them, like they do everything, and then they will come back again to the collectorate. These people really don't aware. They think that okay, they are going, so they may affect it. But I told the like administrative, see, they are again coming to your place only. Okay, if you think that you are not, they are not protected, it means you are also not protected. Then they understand. So it should be all remote care. Otherwise, in Tamil Nadu, doing something in a digital, see, we monitor almost all the patient in a digital platform. That never be possible if we are doing a traditional way, physically visiting it. So of course, I feel the response is better compared to other countries. We really like obeyed. I can say we obeyed. Everyone locked in the home, and that's what happened. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, sir. That is exactly what we wanted. All your statements, we are going to put it on Instagram, Facebook. We will tag you. The entire world is going to see. Thank you so much, sir. Amazing. Let's just go to Neeti Goel next. Ma'am, so again, like I mentioned this before, right? You went from getting 1,200 meals a day to now it's 60 lakh meals a day. Um, so first of all, like, could you give us? You worked very closely with the migrants, right? The migrants who had to travel back to their villages, to their homes, and for so much time there was this incredibly heartbreaking scenes where they used to be stuck on roads where they're walking for days and days. Um, so in that context, could you tell us how do you feel about our handling of um, this pandemic?
So that's a tricky one. Well, I
Yes,
would say
yes.
when we started giving the meals, we never knew that there was so much distress. There were so many people who were hungry. There were so many people who were needy. We started with 1,200 meals, and on the first day when we went, I didn't even know if we are going to find 1,200 people to actually give those meals. But you won't believe it. When we went there, we went below the Eastern Express Highway, the Western Express Highway. Even if we had 12,000 meals with us, it would have been less. There was so much people, there were so many people, and that is only because India is a country and we have a lot of daily wage earners, and those are the people who suffered the most as soon as the lockdown was announced. They lost their jobs, and they are on a hand to mouth. Every day what they earn, they eat and they feed their families. So they absolutely became homeless and destitute. And that's when we went there, we realized the magnitude of the situation. So we try to scale up. I have a couple of restaurants, so I try to make meals there. Then a couple of other restaurateurs got together. Then we started with our own funds. Then formally we started getting donations, and we scaled up to 60,000 meals a day, sometimes even 1 lakh meals a day. But in May, when me and Sonu were distributing meals, we came across a group of migrants who were walking. Not a group; they were actually in thousands. And we stopped by to talk to them and see what they have to say. and they were like, we've been thrown out now of the houses because they live in slums, and eventually they didn't have money to pay rents. So they had been thrown out with young children, with old parents, and they were not getting food. They said, we sometimes get once in 2 days, once in 3 days, so we are going to die in Bombay. So they had this whole feeling that they are from another state and Bombay hasn't treated them right. And they really had this sense of hatred that we've given our lives to Bombay. All the cities are built by our hands. If you see all the infrastructure projects, whether it's a bridge or whether it's anything, it's a metro, it's all these workers, these laborers who are building it. So these are the people who build the nation. So these are actually the pillars of the nation. And these are the words which they said कि ये देश हमने अपने हाथों से बनाया है, but उन्हीं हाथों ने हमें फेंक दिया है, and nobody cares for us. So I'm right now talking from a migrant angle, not from my angle. So they have this whole thing that nobody has taken care of them and they have just been left to die. So I think the transport was the biggest problem, and that's when me and Sonu decided that giving food every day is not going to help them, and we need to actually get them home, and finally that's the end solution for them. So we tried to, whatever we did, everyone knows about that whole Ghar Bhejo campaign. By the end of it, we managed to send 1.5 lakh migrants home, and I'm glad we did that because I realized the happiest journey is the journey back home.
All right. That is honestly, it's kind of bittersweet to. It's bittersweet in the sense that we're happy that at least we've like because of people, especially because of people like everyone in the panel today, that the underprivileged society, at least we've given them some kind of relief. But it is still heartbreaking even after an entire year to see these struggles. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was really incredibly sweet, ma'am. Um, I will okay, and just in the last sense, I'll ask Dr. Srinidhi too. Even though I think we got your views already, I'll just start with a bit more of a specific question, right? Um, Ma'am, you have been in the closest contact with patients, with people who had COVID, right? In that sense, I have two questions. The first really interesting one I want to ask is that was there ever have you seen any evolution in the kind of label that people who got COVID-19 had? For instance, there are certain diseases, especially still in India, because we still have these preconceived notions. If you have certain diseases, you get this label put on you. With COVID-19, did you see the same label put on people, especially early on?
Definitely, not just early on, it's a stigma even today. Okay.
I see.
And it's a different thing for people living in high rises, people who have their own houses where they can isolate. But we also treated a lot of patients who used to come from slums, where there were families where you have 10 people living in one room. They use common bathrooms, and if one person turns COVID positive, it was just practically the entire slum used to get blocked. The early on in the pandemic, it was at least everybody had lost their livelihoods, as Neeti ma'am just mentioned, and they were okay with all the blocks. But eventually, after September and October, when we actually had the maximum peak, people had started stepping out of their homes. And we did see a lot of people who would refuse to acknowledge or to even to go and seek treatment, simply because if somebody from a slum had tested positive, because there is no possibility of isolation there, they would block the entire one path, one row of houses, or one row of the slums, and everybody there would lose their livelihood, and everybody there who's already not earned any money for the past 6 months would then end up being stuck. I had this own problem with my own maid who tested positive. I uh, uh, sorry, I'm getting personal here. My daughter actually lived away from me. She's 4 years old, and I had to keep her away because my husband and I were both working in COVID duty, and there would be nobody at home to take care of her at that time. But eventually, when my maid did come back, she tested positive, and I had to beg her to please get tested because I can see all your reports, I can see your X-ray, I know you have COVID. I will pay you. You just get the test done. I will pay for your treatment, for everything. But she just refused. This is something, in spite of me working so closely with COVID patients, she was confident that I would treat her back to health, that she would not want to get labeled as COVID positive. And that is a very, that is a stigma. One, if you see in the people from like lower, or even say middle class families. But even the rich people would just ignore their symptoms. We have unfortunately seen people who would come in the last minute completely breathless because they believed COVID was a hoax. We've had people who would not take it seriously, who would say it's just a cold, it's just a flu. We've had so many colds in our life, this one cold is not going to kill us, so why get tested? The testing is a scam, the government wants to make money. This is something that we've had to fight like literally every single day, just to explain that this is an actual illness, that people are dying all across, and you can get treated for it, and you get healthy again and just go back home if you're treated on time. So yeah, there is a social stigma attached to it. And it is also because of the loneliness. When you say you're COVID positive, immediately the first thing that happens is your family gets taken away from you. The rest of your family is also put in quarantine. This is something which is very different from any other illness you have. If you see a sick person, the immediate image is, oh, if somebody is admitted in your family, say 2 years back, what would happen is the rest of the family would take turns staying with that person, nursing them back to health. You would have all extended relatives coming home with all sorts of food and fruits, and there would be an unlimited supply of everything else that would come. And you have people coming over for conversations. So all of that was missing in COVID. You were just put into a hospital where the only people you would see along with you were people who were hooked up to oxygen tubings, and who you would see struggling for their breath. And the other people who could actually talk to you were in PPE suits, and they probably looked like astronauts or zombies, and you really did not feel comfortable talking to them. So yeah, there is a lot of social, there's a lot of mental anguish that goes. And we in Somaiya Hospital, we fortunately had a lot of our psychiatrist colleagues and our psychologists. We had to give a lot of counseling to people, saying, you know what, it's fine, it's just another disease. You're going to be alone, you're going to be away from your relatives for a while, but there are other ways of communication. So we would encourage them to do video calls and be in touch, and make sure that they are the social distancing, rather it was causing more of, you just needed physical distancing, and you could still connect as we're connecting right now, probably like on a video call or on a Zoom call. We would encourage that.
Okay. Um, yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. I actually do have another question to ask you, because now I kind of want to get into more the technical details of all the panels and the work that you're doing here, right? Um, what happens in a COVID ward? How how does a COVID ward operate? More specifically, when the virus was this unknown quantity, where there were 10 million, 100,000 different reports about some symptoms showing up after 14 days, people getting reinfected, people developing antibodies, etc., etc. Especially when this virus was an unknown, how did hospital protocol evolve? What did COVID wards look like back in March, and what do they look like now? How has the streamlining be? Could you give us like this technical breakdown? Uh, uh, Ma'am, your internet is lagging, so we just give it 2 minutes, I guess. Should we wait on? Okay, okay, ma'am, if you can hear us, ma'am, if you can hear us, we'll save this question for later. I think your internet is stuttering a bit, so we just continue on to the next question for now, and we'll come
Correct.
back to
So
this.
the
Okay, that's unfortunate. Okay, that's unfortunate. Can we jump to Dr. Kulkarni? Dr. Kulkarni, sir,
Yeah.
are you here?
Yes. Yes.
Hello, hi, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have many questions. I have to try to limit these. So first, I'll just ask you, sir, can you just tell us exactly the first of all, can you just give us a small breakdown of what Vigyan Ashram currently does? I know that Vigyan Ashram runs courses. I know
Yeah.
Vigyan Ashram has this philosophy of um, having this holistic kind of practical plus theoretical learning, especially within rural technologies to help kids develop skills. Specifically to COVID, how has Vigyan Ashram coped up? What have you seen? How have you seen these kids deal with the pandemic, especially if they're not coming from a privileged background? And just can you just give us a general scenario of how the last 8 months have been?
Yeah. like Vigyan Ashram is training rural youth and helping them to start their enterprises in the villages. And so far, we need to convince the student, rural youth, to get trained and stay back in a village and do their enterprise. But during the pandemic, we saw a lot of rural youth started coming back to their villages, and they basically they lost their hopes. They saw their dream getting shattered. Like and everybody was thinking like what they earned by coming to a city, what kind of quality of life they got in the city, how much they earn, how much they spend, and basically everybody was trying to come back to their villages. And we thought it's an opportunity. On the social media, we send an appeal saying those who come back to village and want to stay back and earn a meaningful livelihood in the village, please approach us. And within few days, at least in a less than a week, uh, our two WhatsApp group completely got filled. More than 700 youth approached us saying we want to stay back in a village and look for a livelihood. Then we divided, we started counseling them. We made them in a different groups. uh, we started talking to them depending upon their choice of their vocation, like nursery, then the food processing, engineering, computer based livelihood opportunities. um, and then we started talking to them. It's online, like conducting session for them. We started working with them and started making their business proposals for the banks. And we did that for many students, more than like hundreds of students. We made the bank proposals for their businesses. After Diwali, we started calling them on our campus uh, to give them a hands-on thing, uh, showing them a machine which they want to purchase, and started submitting proposals to the bank. So by December, 40 youth already started their businesses. They got loan, they got set up, and they got basically started with their livelihood options. Of course, remaining proposals are in pipeline at various stages. That's first part. Second thing, in the first lockdown, with our NGO staff, those who were in our network of skill training, we told them we started a course for starting a kitchen garden for the nutrition. The 60 NGOs participated. For their staff, we started telling them how to grow your own kitchen garden, your own food. We did it for 1.5 months, and then there is an organization of government of Maharashtra called MAVIM, Mahila Arthik Vikas Mahamandal. They work with the self-help group women, and they approached us. And for their Krushi Sakhis, we started this kitchen garden training program. Again, it's online, followed by the WhatsApp one-to-one consultation if they have a problem. And more than 1,000 self-help group women from remote places like Amravati, Nandurbar, Akola, from remote part of the Maharashtra, they joined us, and we started a small the kitchen garden in their backyard. So that was the second thing. Like we never imagined the rural women self-help group member joining us using a video conferencing, discussing with us about their problems, their layout of their kitchen garden. Uh, it was like it was all learning for us. You were mentioning about the network of the training programs we conduct with various schools.
Yes, sir.
So we have a network of various schools, more than 134 training schools, secondary schools in Maharashtra. We got the instructors over there, the engineering instructors, the electrician, the agriculturist, and all were they were basically in providing some kind of services. They were allowed to operate. We started sharing design, like to make a basically hand washing stands, sanitizer stand, different devices, making mask. So we made a designs, templates, and started giving it to them. So at least like one of my instructor in remote part of Jalgaon, Lahora, He earned more than 1 lakh rupees by selling a hand washing station. So he was fabricating. Um, so it was like only sharing a designs through the internet. The people are making it at locally without any outside help. I think these were all like a good experiences we earned during this pandemic period.
It is quite amazing. It is quite amazing, especially especially coming up with hand washing stations,
Yes.
setting like
Yeah.
1 lakh units on them. That's quite amazing. I do have a chat question that I'd like to ask you right now. I was going to save chat questions for later, but let's get them over with right now. So one of the participants has asked, like, would you? I'm sure I can ask this. Okay.
Yeah, it's a basically, yes, the coming, it's a blessing in disguise. See, in the past nobody was ready to believe like you can earn a good livelihood in a villages. Everybody left villages like this, but this pandemic, as Niti madam was telling, the people started going back to a village. So far we were trying to convince them stay back in a village, but there was a migration from villages to the cities. The first time we were experiencing like everybody wants to come back to villages. Even like Vigyan Ashram, we are located in a small village. I have more internship basically applications this year, the admission this year than in the past, because they know it's open surrounding, not crowded. We have good fresh air, and they know basically in the during the pandemic we have everything in abundant. Like we have surplus milk, we got surplus eggs. You remember we have surplus vegetables. So yes, it's like people realizes the importance of the villages, and due to the internet, uh, see we have the internet. We got, you mentioned about Fab Lab. We got Fab Lab tools. Nishtha will tell you what we did with the Fab Lab. We also were involved as a Fab Lab with the maker community. So we got tools, we got water, we have energy. Our community campus is solar energy based. Every village got their own energy using renewable energy sources. So what is there in the city which villages doesn't have? We got internet, we have a communication, we got tools, we got machinery, we have food, water, energy. What else you need? So I think this pandemic has showed people the better side, positive side of the rural area.
Okay. Um, okay. So I'll say. So I think we can just continue for now. Thank you so much, sir. I especially like relating to the number of internships that there's. It's quite heartwarming to see that despite such brutal circumstances that have been placed, especially in the lower class, to see them like banding together and seeing innovation still thrive. And I think that's at Riddle, that's like our core philosophy. So it's really sweet to see that um, it being expressed in full, right? Um, let's jump to okay. I wanted to jump to Sentinel, sir, but I'm gonna wait for that. Now we take that in the end. Um, Neeti, ma'am, are you still there with us?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there.
Yes, yes. Okay. I have to ask this, right? So we're asking like very technical details of the work that's done and everything. You very briefly previously mentioned that you guys got a lot of funding and then you scaled and you used your experience as a restaurateur to very efficiently scale up to 60 lakh meats. Can you actually give us some more technical breakdown of exactly how that happened? Where did you go?
So
What
I'll
were the
tell
key
you
planning features?
the biggest challenge was, while we were making the food was sourcing of the ingredients, because all the wholesale markets were shut. We had to keep the cost very low, considering that, we have to save every penny saved is more meals given. So we had to keep the cost low. All the wholesalers, the washi market and everything was shut. So we struggled, and then there was no transport, to get the grains in the required quantities. They were in tons and tons. So eventually, being a restaurateur helped out, and we directly sourced all the grains, the vegetables, even fruits from the farmers directly in Nasik and Pune. So we got police permissions for the trucks to come in once a week during the lockdown, so the vegetables could come and we could store them for a week, and we would then again get police permissions for a week, and that's how we kind of managed to keep our costs very low. So one meal would cost anywhere between 13 to 15 rupees, including the delivery logistics, which is like really low. And I'm talking about meals like puri bhaji, roti sabzi, like good meals. So that is one technical thing which we faced. The other was logistics. That was a huge problem because there was no cycle on the road. How do you find vehicles to send people back home? So we spoke to a lot of transport agencies and they were just not ready. The drivers were already in the villages or they were untraceable. So eventually we found a company who had a fleet of 120 new buses, and he made us, me and Sonu, sign a contract that if anything goes wrong with this bus, it gets broken by the police or anything, then we have to reimburse him the cost. We said, yeah, sure. And he's the guy who kind of supported the Ghar Bhejo campaign, and that's how the first fleet of 10 buses left. So that was one logistics barrier which he helped us to clear. The second was when we were making all the meals. It was May, June, and it was really, really hot. So the meals would get spoiled very, very fast. So the time between the actual making of the meal and distribution couldn't be more than 2 hours, because the food would get spoiled, especially when it's packed. So we had a team of luckily 650 volunteers who were going out in different routes at the same time, and the whole the distribution was done within a span of 2 hours, which was phenomenal. I mean to say, it was really, really phenomenal. And the volunteers used their own vehicles, their own cars to take the meals, and that's how the whole distribution has happened. But we did face a lot of technical challenges because the volunteers were not trained to distribute the meals. So
this volunteer work still going on? And
yes.
second of all, I'll just ask a second question too. And second question is, when just the lockdown had started, or this 2 3 months into the lockdown, where it was before campaigns like the Ghar Bhejo movement, like tried spearheaded this volunteering effort. There was a lot of very modular volunteering, as in small groups of people were themselves going and giving migrants and etc. food, everything. So, did you actually like come into contact with these people, like try to recruit them into the campaign, told them like go through our supply channels, etc., etc. It's going to be more efficient, or was that never a thing that happened?
So I'll tell you, I'm amazed how people have responded, to the whole campaign, to themselves. I don't know of a single family who hasn't taken care of people around them. So either they have been supporting their maids, their drivers, or if they see hungry people around them, they've been giving food. People have been supporting stray animals like cats and dogs because they were also hungry. So I think everyone in their own way have gone and contributed. There are so many groups of women who have actually made extra rotis, like 100 rotis every day with vegetables, and gone and given out on the roads, who are all in touch with me. So now what we are doing is we have a thing called Sunday for Mumbai, where we have a team of volunteers which rotates every Sunday. It's about a team of 100 volunteers, and they go on every nook and corner. We pick up one area every Sunday and they see all the hungry people, and we are trying to make a hunger map along with the BMC and the London School of Economics. And then we are going to map those hungry people to the BMC free meals, and then we want to eradicate hunger. So that's how we are doing this Sunday for Mumbai. So all these people who were actually making meals in the lockdown have come together with us, and they are giving us meals every day to distribute to those people who are mapped on our hunger map.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And so, first question that I asked is: are these volunteering efforts? I know that these volunteering efforts are still going strong. So, let's say we're all healthy 20-year-old privileged kids here. We want to volunteer right now. We want to volunteer with you, for instance. How do we go about doing that right now?
I think that's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be awesome. We always need volunteers. There's a lot of work going on when it comes to feeding people, because hunger is a permanent problem. It's not a solution, but almost 12% of the people in the world die of malnutrition, and this is something we need to completely eradicate. So hunger is something, it's very close to my heart. And I think being a restaurateur, God has taught me, maybe He was preparing me for a bigger cause. Otherwise, there was no ways we could scale up the meals to that extent. Then secondly, we are doing a lot of educational and medical help to a lot of people. And for that, we need volunteers to screen the applications, to, do the background check, all the paperwork. So if there are volunteers who want to come and associate with us, they can write an email on care@lbtrust.in. I'll repeat, care@lbtrust.in. And we'll be more than happy to enroll the volunteers who are wanting to volunteer, because there's so much work that is happening. And there are a lot of scholarships also which we have, which we need volunteers to screen the applications and shortlist the applicants. So I'm very happy if we have some volunteers on board.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Can you look at the chat for 1 second if I've typed the correct email? Otherwise, you're going to get some poor people are going to get spammed with
It's CARE. I don't know where's the chat.
at. Oh, I'm sorry. So CARE at LBL, right? L for
Yeah, L for London
yeah, L
and
for
B
London,
for Bombay.
B for Bombay. LBtrust.in, right? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. We've got the right email. Yes, we're doing this job well. Amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. Also, we have one chat question for you, and Himangini is going to kill me if I don't ask this. So I'll get this done right now. Um, so your original tagline was "Ghar Bhejo," right?
Yes.
And that's what like made waves, um, way back in May. That's what made waves. Has that tagline evolved now? Because according to our understanding, migrants are now coming back into the city, jobs are opening up, maids are allowed back at homes, etc. So has your tagline evolved?
So I'll tell you, it has evolved in a way that it is now Ghar Vapsi, because Bombay was also a home for them. And this is where they've worked all their lives and they've supported their families, they've supported their children. So all the people who we've sent back have surprisingly been in touch with us or our teams personally. And they have been messaging us कि sir ji, madam ji, हमें वापस आना है, हमारा ticket करा दो, हमें job करवा दो. So we have actually helped a lot of them come back and also get jobs. So we launched this app called Pravasi Rozgar, which was to connect companies and people who wanted jobs, and jobs mainly like laborers or carpenters or masons and all these kind of jobs. And we've managed to get 5 lakh people jobs in that. So it's been a great journey, and we've been in touch with the people, and obviously they were in a state where they could not pay fees for their children's education, and they all had medical problems at home. So we've been taking care of all that as well.
Okay. And just one last question. I promise we'll give you a small break after this for
No
sure.
problem.
Okay. So Neha is asking, has social media been a critical medium to reach out to the people in need and people willing to volunteer? Have you had social media wizards, 18, 19-year-olds who like learn to game Instagram and stuff? Have you had teams of that?
I don't know about volunteering, but for sure, people who needed help have definitely reached out through social media. So there have been almost 40,000 requests a day on social media. And even today, the requests are only increasing. So people have actually taken to social media. So my Facebook, my Instagram, and even Sonu's Twitter, it's just jammed. I'm so there. If you total it all up, it's almost 40-50,000 requests a day, and a lot of volunteering requests on Instagram as well. But unfortunately we aren't able to really scan everything. So people who we know personally, and then we know they are going to volunteer. So there was a group of IIM students and ex-students who was a group of 60-80 people came in. So like that we've had a volunteer base, but not volunteering basically from Instagram, but help requirements, yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. I promise we'll only come back to you after something. You can take a small break. Let's
Sure.
now jump to okay. Let's jump to do we yes. Nishtha ma'am, let's jump to you now. We want the spicy takes from you now. Um are you still there, ma'am, with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Amazing, amazing. So I have to ask, right? Um before we like get into questions regarding innovation during the pandemic, etc., which chat is blasting up with, I'll ask, at Zios Makerspace, how have you guys dealt with the pandemic? What was the initial response like? What was the initial kind of fear slash excitement that you guys felt, and like how has it evolved through the past year?
So basically, the journey of most of the Fab Labs and Makerspaces, and us too, began when Fab Foundation and Center of Bits and Atoms, they started working with medical professionals and solidify the safe practices which all the Fab Labs during the pandemic can take into account. And we all came together to define the best practices we can use to respond to the crisis. So this was actually a very unique opportunity for all the Fab Labs to help the communities locally and in important ways, and to demonstrate the potential for digital fabrication and how it can bring a social impact and how it can support humanitarian efforts. So, being a makerspace, we obviously approached the local government hospitals, and we also approached DRDO and TBRL kind of organization where we knew that they're working on uh, devices and equipments for the COVID. But actually the key shift was when our government saw the fab labs work in Italy and in other countries on news media. That's when they started taking it more seriously, and they approached us and we started working with them. Did face a lot of problems with material procurement and machine repairs and to deal with the bureaucracy. But I would just say that being a makerspace as well as a fab lab, we did had a very organized and structured network wherein we all came together, we shared our resources, shared our designs, and we were able to implement them locally in all the different cities. So yes, we started with a ignorant behavior, but we did manage to go it well.
Amazing, amazing. And I remember when we were I remember that one of the Fab Academy this is less related to COVID and just um more personalized question, but I remember like one of the pages saying that one of your goals and one of Fab Academy's goals in general was letting people with non-engineering backgrounds come and learn how to prototype, learn how to rapidly prototype, design, push ideas ahead. So just on a personal note, how have what kind of like progress have you seen on that aspect? Are there any memorable projects as such that you'd like to share with us?
So yes, I'm myself from a non-engineering background, and I pushed myself. I was curious and interested to learn about technology. That was my personal interest, and we do have a lot of projects wherein people from non-engineering backgrounds want to delve into entrepreneurship and innovation, and they do struggle, but in the end, they are able to bring out the best product and services. The projects we majorly as Zios Makerspace, it's in design firm and prototyping firm. So we majorly have NDAs signed for a lot of projects. So you might see there are not a lot of projects we even display on a social media because of the NDAs. So, but as a Fab Lab, because Fab Lab is more towards the public, the public and human development for the common good, we are able to do projects and designs and uh, make it open source. Similarly, we take designs and projects from different other countries and we bring it, manufacture it locally, and people are keeping it open source. So not patenting it for the personal profit or something.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. I'll just one question we'll take from the chart right now. And this is more driven towards the effect that COVID had, right? In your opinion, coronavirus and the multiple different policies that we had to enact for it, how did they change innovation? Did they drive innovation? Did you see a different kind of innovation from people that was not previously present, etc., etc.?
Yes, so I think innovation was happening from a very long time in India and even in every corner of the world. But the pandemic was the motivation. Like when I would, you want something very for the tweet and for the social media, I would say when the world went down, the Fab Labs came up. So that's what I would say for all the makerspace and Fab Labs and all the makers. Not only the organizations, but even the individual makers, which came together in their particular city. They made WhatsApp groups. They got the resources. They downloaded the resources. They modified it and they uh, prototyped it and distributed around the cities. So innovation did came out, and we as a makerspace received more. We actually helped more than 20 startups during 2 months of the pandemic, because everyone wanted to come up with ideas. Everyone wanted to produce it, because actually the reason was that manufacturers were all into the lockdown and they wanted to be there when the world needed. So we did get lots and lots of calls every day for because we being the only innovation space in our tri-city, in 3 cities we're the only one. So we did get a lot of calls and a lot of startups who wanted to contribute into this. So that was the motivation. I think the pandemic was the real motivation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. And just for the people that we're there, we are trying to we're all students in a pandemic, and we really want to help, and we want to like try to push this idea. So in for Fab Labs, if we ever wanted to say contribute to Fab Labs or support them in any way, even though the majority of currently are in Mumbai, which is not one of the Tri-Cities, right? If we wanted to support, if we wanted to help, we wanted to join, or we wanted to contribute, how would and we wanted to do it today, how would we go about doing that?
So I think if you're talking about Fab Labs, they are almost everywhere, and there are many in South India, right? We have very few in North India, but we have a lot of them in South India. And it's if people want to get involved with Fab Labs, we do have different models to it, and we called it like distributed network. And Fab Labs are also providing educational courses like Fab Academy, Fabri Academy, wherein people can join and learn these skills, especially people who are not from the engineering background. Even if the people who are from the engineering background, they want to skill up with digital fabrication. Besides that, the Fab Labs are always open for innovators and makers who would like to come and make the projects. In terms of volunteers, I think Fab Labs are not too much about volunteering. It is more about innovators and people who want to make and who want to bring the resources together and for the peer learning. If that helps your
Thank
question.
you so thank you so much, ma'am. Um, so let's just continue onwards now. We'll get back to you in a bit. We already made you talk way too much. So let's continue. Senthil sir, are you still there? I told you I'll get to you eventually.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. Okay. So first of all, sir, so you're an engineer, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm an engineer too. So yeah, repping, chalega. I just want to get that out of the way. Sorry. So you currently specifically work in the intersection of healthcare and engineering, right? That's what JioVio does. JioVio makes all these products, and they make it incredibly cheap compared to the slightly controversial, the incredibly overpriced things that the US, European countries are popping out. It's incredible the kind of innovation that JioVio and the similar companies are doing, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, all your products start with like this allo prefix. So I just have to ask first, what is that allo prefix?
So see, basically, like so we started with mostly on mother and child. So that is the thing. See, when a child, like when a new baby like talks, if you ask to say hello, it say hello. Like it don't pronounce such. So that's why all our product prefix with ALLO, hello. This is how the baby say hello. So.
Amazing. Okay, I wouldn't have guessed that, but it's really, really cute. Okay, more to the serious questions, right? Um, you have first-hand experience in seeing how. Okay, before we begin, there's this okay, we'll like shift it to that. Let's see, shift to that. I have three questions for you. So I'll preface this by saying that um, healthcare as being revolutionized by engineering, by computer science, etc. We have all these deep learning algorithms detecting diseases, etc., etc. And there's these pushes to incorporate them in hospitals. And I want this to be a dialogue between Dr. Srinidhi and you, because we're going to get both parties involved. Let's get something nice brewing, right? Um, you specifically make devices for um, trying to like taking this burden of healthcare workers. Um, in your personal opinion, how do you see healthcare being so incredibly affected by engineering? And do you think, especially with the COVID pandemic, there's going to be more acceptance to in hospitals to like engineering to like just cutting edge engineering innovations?
Yeah. See, first of all, we are talking a lot about innovation, so I will tell. See, in the world, if you talk about innovation, we have this phrases say like necessity is the mother of invention. But in our country, pandemic is mother of invention. The thing is like we are doing innovation for a long time, but any innovator coming from our country presenting, you observe that we always interrogate with that guy. We will say like how you did this won't work. See, this is how we will say. But innovation is like a kind of a baby. Sometimes it is not perfect. Okay, but we always our own innovators. We always question them. We say this won't work. This don't have a business model. We always question them. And especially in a healthcare, it's not only India specific problem across the world. If you observe manufacturing field or any other field, this all went for 4.0, like it all grown, a lot of innovative things happened. But in healthcare, it always like engineering health is a different. These two professionals even not even get married together. Doctors always prefer to marry another doctor, same like an engineer. So it's two different professionals, and it's hard to convince each other because some people think like they two people think in a different aspective. They think it in a different aspective, and doctors think in a different aspective. See, for us also, initially when I build all this medical device, all the innovation, it's very challenging to convince doctors. See, my product has a very good market across the globe, like a Singapore or Middle East. People like my product, but selling my product in Indian context or hospital, it's very challenging because when I talk to doctor say, I want to touch the patient and I can't use technology. I don't believe on remote monitoring. I want to touch and feel the patient. So it's very hard. Okay, then we thought, okay, instead of running behind in an urban city-based thing, where in a villages there is no doctor. So can I use this technology and still able to provide a better care? So we moved towards the villages and started deploying our product and monitoring them. And during this pandemic, again, I told this 60 age story. What happened is a lot of big hospital, they told the doctors who are 50 above, they told them to stay in the home. Okay, all the doctors who are 50 plus, hospital management told them, you stay in the home, you don't come to the hospital. Okay, now all this, see how doctors has like they will connected with a big hospital and they have a separate clinic. Evening time they go to the clinic. So what happened is most of the time like they told you be inside the home, don't come outside or don't come to the hospital also. So they put a lot of youngster in the frontline worker, people are less than 40 plus, they put it on all the COVID related things. Now all the 60 50 plus doctors are ideal, okay, and they want to contribute and they need to do. And the doctor who told technology never works, and those 50 plus doctor who are the decision maker in all the hospitals, when you go and present in a big hospital, 50 plus doctors are the decision makers. Those doctors called me and told, like, Senthil, long back you shown some device where without touching a patient I can monitor. See, I'm sitting ideal, I want to do something during the COVID time. And because of that approval, our innovation is like very rapidly deployed in all the hospitals, and especially people who are COVID positive. But in the time of August and September, we don't have a beds. We don't have enough beds. Okay, so those people need to be monitored in the home. So with the technology, we could able to effectively monitor them in the home. So I feel like this pandemic, now we started recognizing our local innovators. Otherwise, innovation it always come from Western. Like that's what the arrow is shown. But now people like in a fab lab, we come up with a lot of new innovative way. Now government are realizing, okay, see, we can do good things because we don't have. See, otherwise, what happen is whenever you bring up innovative product, the consumer will say, I can order online. This is a cheaper version is available. But in a COVID time, you don't have option of ordering online. So they started recognizing, they started supporting the local innovator, and a lot of automated hand sanitizers. Everything is made locally. Otherwise, what we will do is we will simply ship from China. Okay, so cheaper. Now you don't have option. You don't have option, so you started encouraging local innovators. So it's a pandemic is of course sometimes it's good for innovators in India. So we could able to showcase our skills.
Thank you so much. Okay, so Dr. Srinidhi, so I'll ask one serious question and one very non-serious question. So first, Central Sir just said that doctors refuse to take in technology, use any technology in hospitals. This is slander, and we want a comeback, ma'am, right now. So go for it.
So
Go for it.
I am actually an ENT surgeon, and almost the entire ENT surgery keeps changing every decade. So I've been an ENT surgeon for 10 years. What I learned 10 years back is outdated right now. And what changes is not our medical knowledge. What changes is the technology that we get. And the more advanced the equipment gets, the easier work gets for us. So actually, it's not. I would disagree when he says all doctors, but I do understand Senthil's point also, that the decision makers in most hospitals are generally senior doctors who are not very pro technology. So I also have had to face this situation at work where I say, we could do it an easier way with technology, and why, what is the need? This used to be the question before. And as sir rightly said, during the pandemic, all the senior doctors in my hospital, the senior doctors were not at home, they were not sitting, they were not ideal also. Where I was in the COVID ward, I was actually seeing patients. The doctors would be in the hospital needed for any emergency, but we could always communicate with them. See, I'm an ENT surgeon, I'm not a specialist in, say, chest medicine, or the exact treatment that a COVID patient would need. But I would always have a physician who is much more senior, who is 60, 65, who cannot come inside the ward, but would give their opinions based on the scan reports that I send them, or whatever the personal aspect would be done by me. I would talk to the patient and find out what is wrong, and they would actually help me out with the treatment. Another thing is that, as far as this, what sir is saying about innovation and technology, in Somaiya Hospital itself, we have conducted research with these wearable devices to see how we can make our work easier also. So we are an active participant in whatever research is there to get the technology ahead, because just making the technology is not enough. You need people there in there to help out and to actually see if is it working, is it helping, and what do we need. Because I think that feedback would be essential for Senthil sir also to come up with the next, with the 2.0 version of it, which would help us even more. So it's more of a partnership rather than this. But the pandemic has helped us cut a lot of red tape. So people who were not so interested before, who were okay with doing things the old fashioned way, have had no choice but to innovate. So we want to do things, we are more comfortable having things done
So,
Actually, yeah, that's what I told. It's all.
all right, we just pause for 1 second. Dr. Sridhati, I think your internet is getting cut off again, so we just pause that for a second. Sentence, sir, please continue.
Yeah, actually, I want to tell. It is
So
not
sorry.
all doctor, but youngsters are always like, no, they understand, they live with this technology. But all the hospital, if you want to collaboratively do innovation, the decision makers are very senior people, and senior people, they really don't want to change. I will do medicine like this only. They are like that. But after this pandemic, like, no, now they are attending video call. Otherwise, they don't see, like, if a two doctor call in the phone or video call, in a normal day, they don't say, you come meet me, or you're calling. Like, that is the conversation they have. But after this, people understand technology is important. They started making a lot of video call and guide them. So
So video consultations were not legal before. They only turned
yes,
legal during the pandemic, which is why
yes,
we can only do them now.
exactly.
This is
Yes.
something we've always asked for. Thankfully, with the pandemic, it is now legal, and so we don't get into trouble with the law,
Yes.
which is why we are more than happy to do legal, like, online consultations now. So it also helps that we don't put ourselves at more risk with
All right. Okay.
patients.
Okay. Okay. I'll have to stop you too because we have enough Instagram content now. We can't have any of the spicy takes anymore. So we just stop you two right now. You'll let it go at later, right? Um, we're running out of time, but I do have one question to ask you, ma'am, and I have one question to ask Neeti ma'am too, right? So I just have to get this over with. Ma'am, could you just give us a quick um rundown of how one a COVID ward operates, and two how hospitals like evolved from the start of the year to the end in how they dealt with this pandemic, how it became efficient, etc. The more technical details.
So initially in March and April, there were no medicines available, frankly. So the entire world and the treatment has changed based on evidence and like the new medicines that have come up. So we had to update ourselves with the new treatment protocols almost every week initially. uh, Now it's almost sort of set and standard. For the past 2-3 months at least, there has been no new update, but I'm sure we will have some more details also. I got my vaccine yesterday, so with the vaccine coming in again, we are all going to have a whole new approach to treatment in the future or in the coming months. Again, the entire treatment was changing week to week. So what I thought was right today was not okay. So this doesn't help. Hydroxychloroquine. Okay, you have to give it now. Okay, now you don't have to give it. Now you give remdesivir. When do you give your medicines? Everything changed. It kept evolving with time. So we have been studying. We've all had to read up. Fortunately for us in India, we've had very clear guidelines put up by the government, which has made our work very easy. So the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare used to put up new treatment guidelines almost every week, based on current evidence and based on the latest scientific evidence available, and we've had to follow that. I've had colleagues and in my own friends and colleagues who've been working in other parts, like in Britain or in America, who've not had such clear guidelines put across to them, which makes treatment more difficult. Another thing is the innovation. As Kulkarni sir said, we've had so much of local manufacturing of PPE, of face shields, of everything. So initially, what was so scarce and not available to us, it was literally as putting our lives at stake. Eventually, by May or June, we had so much. We had a surplus of everything we needed. So we never felt like, oh, the hospital is not providing or the government is not providing us resources. We've had local companies which have had, which were providing us with all that we needed to keep us safe when we were treating the patients. So that, I think that really helped with the pandemic, like a lot of red tape that was cut across. So we were able to do things as the best, with the best knowledge or the best resources available to us at that point of time to treat our patients. I hope that
Thank you, ma'am.
answers your question.
Thank you, ma'am, so much. Okay, Neeti, ma'am, just one last question to you, and I think we can start wrapping up after that. We just have some more questions after that. Are you still there with us?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So I actually wanted to ask the question in the start, but we had to like kind of delay it. You understand the restaurant business better than anyone else does. I mean, clearly. Um, and this seems like kind of a moot point compared to the heavy things that we've talked about, the loss of job, etc. But restaurants kind of are the lifeline of an economy, or eating food out is such a lifeline of an economy, right? And all restaurants had to shut down back in March, April, etc. How did these businesses adapt? What were like these challenges that they were facing, kind of fear that they had, and like how did it even start back up? So can you just give us a little insight on that?
So, I think the hospitality industry has been the worst hit because that was the first one to shut and the last one to bounce back. If you even see the government regulations, restaurants, hotels were the last one who were allowed to be opened. And this is an industry which works on a very, very high operating cost. So you actually, if you are out of business for 3 months or 4 months, it's like you rather shut shop and go because the costs are so high. So it's a very capital intensive business in terms of rent, in terms of salaries, in terms of electricity bills. So if you are not generating a regular revenue, there is no way you can sustain this kind of a pandemic. So it has been very unfortunate that almost 40 to 50% of the restaurants in India have had to shut shop. That's because of the huge losses, the huge costs which have escalated. People have been not able to pay salaries. So there have been, it's been very, very difficult, and now the restaurants who have sustained, have evolved. I mean to say they are working with lesser number of people, lesser staff. They have to also follow a lot of hygiene protocols, and it is extremely important to follow that because of COVID. There are certain guidelines which are given by the MCGM and the health committee which needs to be followed. So now the whole restaurant industry has in a way evolved that, working like how in abroad, if you go to any restaurant, you will see only 5 people working and they will do as much business as restaurants are doing in India. So here it was, if it's a cashier, he would only do a cashier job. If it's a captain, it'll only do a captain job. But now everyone's doing everything. right from taking orders to picking up plates to washing utensils. So it's all become like a very, very small family. It's become very integrated. And I would say the restaurant industry has evolved a lot. The menus are curtailed a lot. And every restaurant is working with a limited menu so that, they can also control their costs, and everything is made fresh. There's nothing which is kept. So in a way, it has evolved a lot, and it has also, as a restaurateur, taught us a lot how to, kind of manage. I mean, to say we are still managing with lesser number of staff. So it is all a learning and a evolution. It's an innovation, I would say.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. Um, so these guys are telling me to wrap up as much as I do not want to. So I think we can just go around and have just a few last comments. Dr.
I
Kulkarni,
would just like to say one thing. I think you've been a phenomenal moderator and keep up the good work. Considering
thank
you are
you,
so young, but
thank you,
you've really done a fabulous job. So
thank,
keep up the
thank,
good work.
thank you, ma'am. So I think we can just continue on and we can, I think, wrap up the meeting. Dr. Kulkarni, sir, are you still there? I have the most heavy-handed question for you. I've been saving it.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
please. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have the most heavy-handed question for you. In your years of experience, you have kind of been at the forefront of seeing so much innovation like evolve and come out. Um, what do you think? How do you think the innovation in India is going to be changing now, and what do you think it's going to be new for us? What kind of new frontiers and challenges do you think we'll be exploring? Can you give us like your personal opinion on that?
Uh, no, basically this pandemic has taught us many things, and especially the Chinese aggression also. So the Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think this is the challenge which the youth in our country, they are now capable of take it up. So I am very optimistic. This maker movement, maker Mela, the Fab Lab network. I think yes, we can make almost anything. So I think Atmanirbhar Bharat is the way ahead.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, sir. Um, Senthil sir, Senthil sir. Okay, yeah, we have one question in the chat, so we'll get that cleared up with you, sir. So could you just actually give us a small rundown of your products, because we just asked your question on the industry as a whole and never asked like particularly what you guys have done
Yeah,
and
sure.
like what are these key achievements the pandemic.
Yeah, sure. I'll just to show the product, I have it here. Oh, yeah, this is my product. This look like a Rudraksh, but the main feed is here. This is a sensor. This is a one form factor, and this is another form factor, basically a wrist form
Yes.
factor.
Okay.
So what this device will do is continuously monitor the patient's vital parameter. They just need to wear it in the wrist. We have another product, it's a medical device. Patient just need to hold the device, and it can collect almost 10 vital information live, like it will send it in a real time to the doctor. So the current teleconsulting solution, the biggest challenge is when you have telecall with a doctor and you say the doctor could not able to breathe. In the call, doctor really don't know what's happening in your body. And doctor can only give a secondary consulting. They can suggest, okay, you take this prescription and wait for 2 days, let's see. Otherwise, you can visit the hospital. But in COVID time, how it's no way you can visit the hospital. So what we have done is we integrated our device with all the teleconsulting solution. In a live call, you just need to hold the device like this. The device will collect all your vitals in a live call. They can see the ECG, my blood pressure, my saturation level, and what is my breathing cycle. Everything they can see it in a live call. So the doctor can get that in-person experience in a digital call, and this really helps us to diagnose a lot of patients. And during this time, we made this app called Q Care. It's called Quarantine Care, where throughout this 14-day, we could able to monitor the patient's symptoms, vitals, and we keep on update into the command central in every district. We work with almost 12 district collectors, district health officers, and we monitored almost 4,000 plus patient. They are all COVID positive, but they are not able to get up beds in the hospitals. So, but they are mild symptoms. They don't have the serious one. They have a mild symptom. So we ask them to stay in the home, and we put the devices, and we could able to monitor them in a remote platform. So these are main use cases of our product.
Amazing. Thank you, sir. Also, the riddle is going to hate me for this, but can you just give us a short 30-second answer, a nice soundbite? What do you think of the Arogya Setu app?
Like, see, Arogya Setu app is like, see, there are two different things. See, in Arogya Setu app, it says the place you are there is there is any COVID positive patient around you. That is what Arogya Setu is all about. But in my app, see, when they put the people on quarantine, initial days, the biggest challenge is if the people want to go outside or people want to send their vitals or symptoms, anything to the doctor, there is no way. In Arogya Setu, you can't send, you can't say like, I want to milk. In Arogya Setu, you can order milk. Okay, so I have connected all the corporation services in a single app. So I ensure that there is no need for the patient, the quarantine people to go outside. So it is integrated with all their basic needs in a single application. Yeah, that's the difference.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think we should start wrapping it up. Nishtha ma'am, can you give us a few last words that you'd like to leave? Anything you'd like to share? Challenges that you learned from the pandemic, something you hope that we start following in the future, etc., etc. Anything you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Yes, sure. Now, after this pandemic, seeing so much of innovation around globally, uh, it will be wrong to revert back to all old ways of healthcare. Healthcare was expensive, but I think medical can be low cost and affordable for the poor now, because we had low cost ventilators, we had low cost PPEs. A face shield which costed 300 rupees is now there for 80 rupees. And now, we had PPC suits for 500 rupees. Now it's available for 120 rupees. We also had, like, now COVID could have been for 400 rupees, but it is for 2000, ranging to 2000 to 4000 rupees, the COVID test. So I think healthcare can go low cost for the poor and can be affordable. And I really hope that we do not forget all this, what we all the innovators and the makers and all the volunteers who did so much of work in this pandemic, and we are able to take this ahead. It's not I hope it doesn't get closed in a box or on papers, and it goes ahead with more hope and better options for the next pandemic, if we have any.
I mean, that's very sinister. Just putting that out there. That's very, very sinister. It's very evil, ma'am. But okay. So just before we end it, does anyone have this? This is open to everyone. Does anything have anything they'd like to add? And after that, we can wrap up. Okay. Okay. Just going on three. One, two. It's not an option, but three. And yeah, that's about
Yeah,
it
I just
for
like to say
the.
thank you. It's really interesting, coming from a medical background. It's really interesting to see uh, different ways everybody has helped out in the pandemic, and it's a very inspiring session, and it's been an honor to be here with all of you guys. And I'm looking forward to more healthcare technology solutions at Somaiya Hospital. We have done a lot of research with COVID patients also, and we are always happy to have more. We will be happy to do this.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. And that's about it for the session. I'll ask one of the riddle guys to take over, or okay, we can just end it, I guess. So we can just disconnect. Thank you everyone for showing up. We had 200 participants at a peak. That's an amazing showing. Thank you so much for being there. And I think we can just disconnect now. So brilliant.
Thank
Thank you
Thanks so
guys.
much.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.